So, I don't know if you're a quitter, but I can tell you I'm a quitter. And here's why I'm a quitter. I've worked 3 different jobs, 4 different locations, and I have quit every single job I've ever worked. Now, that didn't really come to my mind until recently. I was having a conversation with somebody and we were talking about job history, and it really occurred to me that I have quit every job I've ever worked. So my working career follows as so. I was going to a technical school. I was learning how to be a tool maker. I was doing a tool maker apprenticeship while I was still in high school. I was probably end of my sophomore, beginning of my junior year. And I worked that job at the machine shop for roughly 9 months. I don't think I ever even made it a year. And I didn't like the work. The shop owner was nice, his wife was nice, the people there, most of them were pretty good. I mean, it was a decent sized shop, so you're always gonna have a couple people you don't really care for, but all in all, the atmosphere there wasn't bad. It was really just the work. The work just didn't ring to me like it did when I was doing it in school, and it wasn't really the right kind of tool shop. I was more, I wanted to be more like a tool and die maker, and this was more like an automated CNC shop, and I was just miserable there. And I remember working there, and hours felt like days, minutes felt like hours. It was terrible. So I was slacking, and I was, doing what I could to work there as little as I could. And finally the owner goes to pull me in the office, and he's giving me the old, well, where do you see yourself, your future here? And what do you think is gonna happen down the road? And what do you think about working full time? And I knew where he was going. He was gonna segue into, well, you're not really doing what we need you to do now. Why would I make you full time? Are you gonna be here during the summer? Can we count on you? Because every time we want you to work Saturday or work late, you're not interested. And I just looked at him and said, I don't think I wanna work here anymore. It's just not working for me. And I think it's time for me to go. And I think he pretty much agreed. I think he was relieved because he didn't have to let me go, because I'm pretty sure if my answers weren't what he wanted to hear at that time, I was gonna be gone anyway. And I think he was just happy that I came to the realization myself that it was time for me to leave. So my next job starts at the Ford store. I get the job through a friend of mine, and I start working there as the lot guy, and I'm doing detailing, I'm doing sales car swaps, I'm doing stuff for service when they need it. And that was a great job, one of the best jobs you could ever ask for in high school. Like, a lot of my friends in high school were working at Stop and Shop, or they were working at like McDonald's, and they were working at like these jobs that were kind of like what you call a dead-end job. Not to say that people don't work those jobs and aren't happy with those careers, but when you're going to a technical school and you want to be a tool and die maker or a body guy or a mechanic, that's really where you want to be working. Now, to get the job at the dealership was great. So I graduate high school. They had really taken a liking to me. The manager there at the time for the service department really liked me. He offered me the full-time position being a tech to train and learn. I took it, and I wanted to work my way up. So I did that for about, 6, 7 years, and then I saw an opportunity to become an advisor. So I did that for a few years, tried to get my handle on working behind the desk and being more in charge. And then the opportunity came to be a manager of a separate shop that was a couple towns over. It was basically like an independent shop, and we had like a Ford franchise, so we were able to do Ford warranty, do recalls, but we could work on anything, and we did. Anything that came in off the street. There was some cars we turned away at times because maybe we didn't have the right tools or whatnot to properly repair them, but we did a lot of stuff that the guys at the dealership, they wouldn't even touch. I mean, when you're a dealership guy, you know your brand, and that's all you want to know is your brand. And being down at the independent shop was like different for me, and I learned a lot from it, and I think it ultimately made me a lot better because I started seeing about working on other cars, Chevys, Nissans, and just stuff that you didn't really see at the dealer. And that job was great until it wasn't great. And what really came to a head with that position was the owner wanted to really run the place at like what they call a skeleton crew, like minimum crew for maximum profit. And our parts person had decided to retire, and he didn't want to rehire a parts guy. He wanted me to be the parts guy and be the manager and do whatever else I was doing already. But then there was no pay. It was like, okay, I want you to take on this, and let's say we're paying this guy $45,000 a year to be the parts guy. I want you to do that, but I'm going to still pay you what I'm paying you now, which I don't think anybody would really take that deal. I wasn't taking that deal. So I did whatever I could not to take it. I was just like, no, we should hire a guy. And he had meetings with me, and he had other parts guys and the other dealership stores trying to tell me about how easy it was and all this stuff, and trying to, the famous, I'll take care of you. Once you get in there and you get it good, I'll take care of you. And that was never going to happen. I had heard that before, and I knew what that story meant. That story meant you're doing the job now, and you're just going to keep making what you're making. So it was getting tense with me and the owner. And then there was a Saturday where I was working, and he kind of came to talk to me about that situation, and I just wasn't agreeing with it. And he kind of gave me an ultimatum, like, oh, if you're not really looking to go with the way I want you to go, maybe I got to get rid of you. And that's all I needed to hear. I wasn't happy there. I hadn't been happy there for a long time. I wasn't happy being pushed to do something that I knew I was not going to get compensated for. And then once he laid the ultimatum on me, I checked out. I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to go. I'm going to put all my stuff in my truck today, and I'm done. We're good. I'll leave you my keys. I'll leave you the alarm code. And he was taken back. He was definitely taken back, because I don't think he was expecting that. I think he was expecting me more to say, oh, I need this job. Please, I'll do whatever. We'll work it out. But I wasn't doing that. So then I leave. Now, at that time, I was in talks with the fleet company that I had left within the last year from now. So basically, the fleet company was bringing all the cars to us at that independent store. We were doing all their maintenance, and they were thinking about opening their own thing. And they had me and the guy that was in charge of the cars, we kind of had hit it off. It was a tense relationship at times, but there was some mutual respect there. And he was talking to me about maybe running their fleet center once they got it up and running. But at the time I left my job, that job was not promised. It was not guaranteed. I had never signed a contract. I never had 100% when it was going to start. I didn't have a start date. So I just started working for myself. I started working behind my house in my garage, doing whatever came along. It didn't matter. Painting a bumper, painting a plow, doing regular repair and maintenance, brakes, whatever came along. It didn't matter to me. I just did whatever I could to try to do as best as I could to try to keep food on the table and keep money coming in, because I kind of just jumped into it, and I really didn't have any backup plan. So then over those 3 to 4 months, this shop comes along. Now, I won't go into it right now, but this shop was just an empty square wooden box when we came in here. But I saw the opportunity to come in here at a really good price for the lease, and I was overgrowing what I was doing at the house, and I didn't want to keep continuing building that up. When you're home, you kind of want to be home, and when you're having work at home, it's difficult. I mean, some people may love it, but I didn't like it. I like, when I leave here, I'm gone. It's not, oh, I'm having a bad day, I go in the house, but then I got to look outside and still look at the car that's giving me a hard time. So when this place came along, I said, you know what, to a good friend of mine, I said, let's split the building. You take the upstairs for what you do, I'll take the downstairs for what I do, and we'll just work it. And we came in here and started working on it and built it to what you see today, over time. It did not start out like what it looks like today, and maybe one day I'll do a video about that. But for all intents and purposes, I was building my own way at that point. Now I get the phone call. Hey, we have a start date for you. Now I got to decide, what am I doing? Am I working for myself now and trying to make that? Or am I going to go work for somebody else? Now, I took the easy path. Was it the right or wrong path? I don't know. But at the time I said, you know what? They're willing to give me benefits. They're willing to give me paid time off. It's a set check. It was all the security is really what it was. It was the security of having a regular job. And I guess I hadn't at the time got my mind set or programmed to, like, I'm going to be my own boss. So I took the job. And I had certain reservations when I went there, certain people that were in charge. I knew our relationships were tense from, them bringing work to us at the repair shop. But I figured once I got in the company, those things would dissipate. They did not dissipate. They got worse. The personalities, the atmosphere, it was very negative. I used to use the term, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Too many cooks spoil the soup, and there was just too many cooks in that place. And I really thought when I went in there that I was going to be just doing what I needed to do for the fleet center, and that was that. And I was happy doing that, but when the outside influences came in and people that really don't have any knowledge of what you do or how you do it, and they're going to come and tell you what you should do and how you should do and this and that. It wasn't working for me. So over time, the atmosphere went from nice to negative to just, I could not tolerate it. I really just couldn't. It's just, the place was just wearing me down, and that was spilling into my personal life, into my outside life, and burning the candle at both ends doesn't help that either. So, you know, you're working here all night, all weekends, 7 days a week. You're working your regular job. You're 40 to 45 hours a week. Doesn't leave much time to yourself for what you want to do. And plus, if you're not happy where you're working in your regular job and you're spending 45 hours a week there, 40 hours a week there, and then you got to try to do your own thing on the side, and that's not always, you know, biscuits and gravy. There's hard times with that. It was just wearing me down. In the future that I saw in that place when I took the job was not the future that I saw in that place at the 3-year point. I was having a conversation with the better half on a particular day. I was working during the summer, and you know, she was like, I could hear it. You're just miserable. I could tell. You just need to get out of there. It's time for you to get out of there. And I got off the phone and I thought about what she said, and it clicked. She was 100% right. She had been telling me that. She had told me she'd rather see me sitting on the couch watching TV, doing nothing with my life, than to continue working at that place. That's how much she disliked me working there. And I would always try to say, well, you know, it's got its good, it's got its bad. I would always try to, you know, justify it, but she was ultimately 100% correct, and she had seen that way before I did. So I got up out of my chair and I went and found my boss and gave my 2-week notice right then and there. I said, I'm leaving in 2 weeks. Today's this day, I'm leaving on this day. And it didn't even last that long. I gave my 2 weeks, and then I think there was maybe little feelings about me leaving, and they went to me a week after I gave my notice and say, hey, we'll pay you for the week because you gave your 2, but you could go now. I said, I'm out of here. Packed up my stuff that Friday, all my stuff in my truck, shook hands, goodbyes, and I was gone. Now, was I happy I left? I was happy I left. Was I scared of the future? Was I scared of the unknown? I was terrified. And I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified because I really didn't know. You know, I was really just jumping into the frying pan and saying, okay, now I'm gonna work for myself. I'm gonna be my own boss. And the whole point of this video is why it's okay to be a quitter. I think in certain circumstances, it's okay to be a quitter. It's okay to be a quitter if what you're doing is not bringing any passion into your life. If you have a habit that's holding you back and you know it is, it's good to quit that. It's good to quit if quitting is going to bring you better in the long run, even though you're going to have to go through dark times to get there. If you know ultimately it's going to bring you up to better, then you should quit. And I don't regret quitting any of those jobs. And I think, honestly, I probably should have quit some of them sooner than I did, and I probably stayed around them longer than I had to. I believe for myself personally, being my own boss is just the way I need to be. I don't think I do well working under other people. If the circumstances are right, it may work at times, but ultimately, I kind of just like to go by the beat of my own drum. So if you're out there and you're watching this, or you know somebody who's going through this, share this with them. Because maybe this is the thing they need to hear to say, you know what, it's time for me to go out on my own, or it's time for me to make a change in my life, my lifestyle. I need to start getting up early, or I need to start exercising, or I need to start eating right, or quit smoking, or I need to leave this job because I have, you know, the skill in my hands, I have the drive in my heart, and I know I can make a better way for myself. And it's not always going to be great, and there's going to be times where you're going to have the doubt, and there's going to be times where things are just like piling on you. But you know what? If you're doing it and you're consistent and you're going for it, you will get results. It's a promise to you, you'll get results. So just wanted to share why I'm a quitter. And I'll probably always be a quitter as far as working for other people. If I ever end up working for somebody else, I'll most likely quit working for them at some point. But I think that's what works for me. So if you think it'll work for you, maybe you should quit too.